Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
The fourth dimension will collapse upon itself, you stupid bitch.
Shut up, I'm a man and I know what's good for me.
Bountiful penis. Amen.
Boy, my ass is sore.
You can get pink eye from farting in a pillow?
Yeah, but you gotta be bare-assed.
I'm gonna invent a toothbrush for your butthole.
It does the trick.
Paddington Bear.
He's a homewrecker?
Yeah, he wrecks homes.
You are a murderer of love.
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome back to another episode of I Drink Your Podcast. With me today are Emily.
Hello, everyone.
And returning triumphantly, Matt.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be back.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back, Matt. And we're really excited to announce that you are the third of our rotating guest hosts for the future of this podcast. So
Woo!
It's going to be you,
Let's
Dylan,
go.
and Brandon. And we're super excited. You all have such different energies and different things you bring to the episodes. And we're being very strategic about what movies we give you.
Yeah, you know I love trains. You know I love numbers. Big Christian Bale fan.
That's right.
So couldn't be a better movie for me, I think.
No, this one's right up your alley. Yeah. So before we get started tonight on 310 to Yuma, let's talk about what is in our glasses this evening.
I can't wait to hear what you guys got, because I've got some good old fashioned water.
How did you say it earlier, though, Matt?
Like they said in the movie, I was trying to emulate their accents. Big Western fan, trying to get that Arizona twang. Waters.
Because you lived there for a while, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a twangy accent.
Yeah, it's authentic. Don't look it up.
I am nursing a sore throat from teaching all day, so I'm drinking some cider, but specifically drinking it out of my big hug mug, because all these characters needed some big hugs at the end of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that were alive anyway.
Ouch. Yeah, which was not many of them.
Not at all.
Well, I was inspired by them shooting straight shots of whiskey in that movie. So I've got a nice glass of whiskey next to me, and I'm chasing it with a sarsaparilla. A little Sioux City sarsaparilla.
Okay, I actually don't know what sarsaparilla is.
Whoa, it's like fancy root beer, correct?
Yep, it's like a cane sugar root beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's really
I've
good.
heard the name in so many references, but I would not know what it is.
Yeah, it's like something you have to get when you're out with your family, and you go to like one of those like Western towns. Like you have to get a sarsaparilla, and then
I'm so sorry. Who goes to a Western town? Like, do you, Matt?
We need to talk about this because, yeah.
I was in Phoenix, so I was in Arizona for roughly 7 years, and my parents retired to Goodyear. And then even before that, my grandparents were snowbirds. So I feel like a lot of people in Minnesota have like that Southwest connection. So that's how I knew what sarsaparilla was. Otherwise, it would be like, like I'm picturing like Main Street at some like fancy hoity-toity, apothecary selling sarsaparilla. But you could throw a rock out in Arizona and you could find some anywhere.
Yeah.
What kind of analogy is that? I love it.
You could throw a rock?
And you could find some sarsaparilla.
Yeah. I mean, that's not part of the saying, but it's everywhere.
It is now.
Out there.
Yeah. Well, being in Minnesota, I mean, you never took a trip out to Deadwood or the Black Hills, Emily, when you were younger?
No, I've never been.
Okay. There's a lot of Western towns out there.
All I know about Deadwood is that you have to say cocksucker every other word. It's a TV show.
They don't like that when you're in the city.
Okay, I figured. It's like please and thank you there.
So, Matt, it's good to see you again. Glad to have you on.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
I've been up to a lot of work. So it's been work. But in my free time, I just got to go see my nephew. We drove to Louisiana this past weekend, and then I've been watching a lot of Survivor, particularly AU Survivor. It's really, really good. And I highly recommend Australian Survivor.
Got it.
I highly recommend that.
That sounds a lot more terrifying than like an American Survivor.
Well, Australian Survivor, they don't go to Australia. Like they would send them to like exotic locales, wouldn't they? They're not going to survive in their own backyard.
Well, the latest season they do the Australian outback. So maybe you should go fuck yourself. I'm kidding. No, but like American Survivor is the classic. It's the OG. It's over 20 years old. So it's just called Survivor. And then there's like all sorts of other iterations of it around. So Australian Survivor is the clear cut. It's just really good. It's a lot better than American Survivor or OG Survivor.
Okay. Emily, what have you been watching recently?
On Friday night, I actually watched Basic Instinct for the first time.
Oh, wow.
It was okay. There were definitely some parts that I was intrigued about and thinking about that this came out when I was born. It was definitely a weird time to think about just how far we've come in a lot of female empowerment. But I know that that's kind of the direction that they were trying to go back in 92. It was just interesting. There were aspects that I really enjoyed. Didn't really like the main character at all. I didn't like how he acted. I still don't even know his name. But generally, I enjoyed it. I had a fun time with it. There were definitely some sexy, steamy scenes in there. I'm just working my way through movies that I haven't seen before that are weirdly not classics, but well known.
Yes.
I don't know. Is Basic Instinct a classic?
No.
I think it's certainly well known. You said Basic Instinct. I can immediately picture like the box cover, but I don't remember anything that happens in the movie. You know, she's got her hands around in the back of that guy and she's like looking over his shoulder. Oh, man. That was the one I wasn't allowed to have when I went to Blockbuster.
Well, I texted you, Emily, when you said you were watching Basic Instinct, and I said, it's really only famous for getting to see Sharon Stone's vagina. And your response was, who is Sharon Stone?
Yeah.
So,
oh, wow.
Ben, what have you been watching?
I've been on a bit of a horror kick recently with Halloween being right around the corner. So I watched Signs with my daughter because we're trying to get her into a little bit scarier of movies. And we thought Signs would be a good introduction to scarier elements than she's used to. She really liked it. So we're going to keep trying to find movies like that are appropriate for a 10-year-old.
Oh, I was just about to jump in and be like, which slasher movie are you starting with?
Probably not a slasher. We're going to try Poltergeist this week. But I'm prepared for her to have nightmares from that one. But she wants to watch it. She's excited. I went over to Dylan's on Friday and we watched Willy's Wonderland, which is the Nick Cage battles animatronic circus pizza
That
animals.
sounds terrifying.
It was terrible, but it was not terrifying. I don't know how you can have an entire movie of Nick Cage and not allow him to have one single line in the entire movie. It feels like a huge waste. Yeah, he doesn't speak in the movie.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
They made a decision.
They definitely did. And the last horror thing I watched was Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Because that's so horrifying.
Well, I mean, what's horrifying is Kermit's new voice.
What?
That guy's terrible. I don't know if you've heard, Matt. Kermit, there's a new guy doing the voice of Kermit. And it sounds nothing like Kermit.
They should just get Connor.
They should. Yes. Disney, call up Connor.
Yeah.
No highway option. He can do a Kermit voice. Kermit is such an easy voice to do. Like, I don't understand why they can't just find a guy who can mimic it.
Yeah. Does Jim Henson have any kids or anything?
He does, yeah. But I don't know if they can do the voice.
Where I'd go.
So this week we watched 3:10 to Yuma starring Russell Crowe, Christian Bale, Ben Foster, and Logan Lerman. And it was directed by James Mangold. Now, Emily, you had not seen this movie before.
Correct. Do you want to know what I thought it was about?
Yes.
Okay. The only reason I knew it was a Western is because I think Brandon spoiled it last week. And then I decided, you know what? I literally have no idea who's in this. I know nothing about it. And so I did make a 300 joke because I was like, 310, 310, whatever. But I looked up a poster and I saw that Russell Crowe and Christian Bale were in it. And I didn't realize that Christian Bale is actually British. So I was like really surprised by that. And I knew Russell Crowe wasn't from the United States. So here we go. 2 foreigners join the Wild Wild West and are out to defeat those darn cowboys. Russell Crowe and Christian Bale mask their accents with some molasses and start shooting at those tin cans before they set out on an adventure to defeat the 310 Gladiator cowboy gang.
What's Gladiator?
Batman and Gladiator.
You say that like we should just know that.
Yeah, you should. I almost went with Gladiman, but that makes way less sense.
But somehow it feels more right.
Well, let's go over the actual synopsis from the back of the DVD cover and see how close Emily was.
I wasn't.
Infamous outlaw Ben Wade, played by Russell Crowe, and his vicious gang of thieves and murderers have plagued the Southern Railroad. When Wade is captured, Civil War veteran Dan Evans, played by Christian Bale, volunteers to deliver him alive to the 310 to Yuma, a train that will take the killer to trial. But with Wade's outfit on their trail and dangers at every turn, the mission soon becomes a violent, impossible journey towards each man's destiny.
I'll pay you the 200, Dan, right now, and you can walk away.
Well, this whole ride has been nagging on me. That's what the government gave me for my leg. $198.36, and the funny thing is that when you think about it, which I have been lately, is they weren't paying me to walk away. They were paying me so they could walk away.
Don't muddy the past and the present, Dan.
No, wait. I'm seeing the world the way it is.
I feel like that was a pretty good synopsis this time.
I think so too. I think the other dangers kind of makes me giggle because it was like the townsfolk attacking them.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the Native Americans that were in there for 10 seconds and then gone.
Well, but what about the part at the caves where they get Wade gets captured?
They weren't in any danger.
Well, I mean, they had to escape out of there with dynamite. Yeah.
Okay, fine. There were other dangers.
Yeah.
What if the other dangers were the economic conditions that put all these desperate people in? You know, maybe those are the
the railroad prospectors that are trying to buy up Dan's land and run a railroad through.
That's right.
So this is not our first Western of 2007, but it's probably the closest to like an old school Western. How did you guys like that?
So I haven't seen a ton of Westerns. I saw Clint Eastwood's A Fistful of Dollars this last year, and I've seen Blazing Saddles. And I think that might be about it, unless you get into like mashups of sci-fi and Westerns, because then you've got your Firefly, Cowboy Bebop. You've got tons of things where it has like a Western feel to it. So I don't know if I am knowledgeable in like the old Western feel. I did notice there seemed to be a lot of attempts at commentary, like, for example, the Chinese workers on the railroad. Mm-hmm. And there was like this subtle commentary where William, the son, is staring at a boy working on the railroad. And I was kind of like, are they trying to say something? Are they saying something? And it just seemed really off to me, like they were trying to do something and they didn't. Or when the Apache Native Americans show up and then are immediately murdered by Ben Wade, you know, it's like they were there and then forgotten immediately. So in that regard, the fact that the main characters were all a bunch of white men and the one woman in the movie had a few lines, that I can get on board with Old Western.
Is the assassination of Jesse James, is that considered a Western?
It is a Western, but I wouldn't say it's in the line with the type of Westerns that the 50s and 60s had. Like, it's much more of a modern take and more of an artistic eye for a Western than what you got in the 50s and 60s, which was more of the serialized popcorn type Westerns.
This movie to me felt a lot like the assassination of Jesse James, with those open outdoor shots with the fields, the cactus, and it just had that Southwest vibe. I know this was filmed in New Mexico, so to me, I feel like this movie felt like a true Western, but in sort of a similar way to the way Jesse James felt to me like as a Western. So I know those aren't, the same style of Western, but it has that feel to me. So
nothing says cowboys like cacti.
that's right. Cacti.
I thought you were going to say cattle for sure, and you went with cactus. And I was like, oh, yep. Okay.
Horses, cattle, and a stagecoach. If you have a stagecoach, 99%, it's a Western.
Got it.
Matt, have you been to Yuma before?
No, it's a really off the beaten path city. So
okay.
Yeah, I had never even heard of Yuma before, and so that was the other reason why I had no idea what 310 to Yuma was.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they were talking about taking Ben Wade to Yuma, I was like, why? Oh, they're hanging him there? What? And so I had to look it up to find out it was a prison in Yuma. So it's like, oh, okay, I get this now. A little bit more context.
Yeah.
Well, and they're taking him there because that's where they took Ben Wade in the 1957 version of this movie, because this is a remake of an old Western.
Have either of you seen the old one?
No, but I hear it's good.
I saw it a long time ago.
Is it black and white?
It was black and white, yeah. It was good. I mean, it was much more in line with the types of Westerns that they were making at that time. Like it was, It had all of the same stereotypes, and there was a slight little deconstruction of the expectations. Like the female character in the 1957 version actually played a big role. And that's one of the main differences between this movie and the 1957 version, the one it's remaking, is that there was a large part in that movie for the wife. She actually comes back at the end and tries to talk Dan out of like heading towards the train. And there is no son character.
What? The 50s had this and they took this out. Okay, why did they even make a remake?
That's a great, I don't know.
I mean, I thought it was good. I really liked the movie. I did. The fact that it's a remake, I was kind of curious of why. I know Hollywood does that. They are all about the remakes and then also having a series put together to make money, but it just seems so off. Like, why this one?
I think the reason that they remade this one is not because of the movie version of 1957, but the fact that it's based on a story by a pretty famous author named Elmore Leonard, who has done movies like Get Shorty, Out of Sight, Jackie Brown. So I think it's more trying to get more to the heart of the source material of that short story than trying to remake the 57 version.
Okay, that makes sense.
I would have loved to see it be 311 to Yuma and them take a little more liberties. The train's late anyway, right?
Another difference between this version and the 1957 version is that at the end, Dan doesn't die.
What?
Instead, he and Ben get on the train and Dan takes him down to Yuma.
Well, that's a different ending.
That's very different, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we jump to the end?
Which I love. I loved the ending of this movie.
Really?
I did. I really did. And I think I might have to jump backwards, actually, to the beginning, because I did not like the beginning of the movie. And I was really struggling the first half hour. And then Christian Bale and Russell Crowe had their moments on screen, and I could see the tension, and I could see them kind of becoming more than just antagonists to each other. And it was such an interesting feeling and relationship that I got from them. So seeing that ending and watching Dan die and seeing Ben Wade's face react to that his best man essentially in his crew killed this guy. I really didn't know what I was expecting at the end. I really didn't, but it was such a punch in the gut for me, where I was like, that was so satisfying to feel that.
The movie didn't really pick up for me until Russell Crowe and Christian Bale started interacting together in scenes, specifically like the any scene that takes place at a fire pit.
Yeah.
I feel like those are the scenes that really crackle in this movie.
Yes, they do. I also like the kitchen scenes, you know, as well as the dynamic of the boy, his son. But I did not like the ending because to me it felt like he forgot he was in a gunfight. And when Charlie takes him in the back, you know, and he shoots him over and over and over again, I felt like he could have just as easily have died from getting shot earlier. You know, he had to get that flesh wound where they're like, hold up, waiting for the train's late. And then, you know, he just like sort of takes one in the back. I don't know how to say it any other way other than like he just stands up in the middle of a firefight and he's like, you get on that train now, mister.
But I think that that's the whole point of that character is that like he's accomplished what he set out to do. He didn't have any qualms about dying in this. Like he knew he was resigning himself to die. So as soon as he saw Russell Crowe get on the train, his purpose was done. Like he was ready to get shot.
I mean, to me, I was like, it felt like he was just like, it just felt wonky to me. I don't know. I wish he
feel out of character?
No, I'm happy with him dying. It was just the way it happened, you know? Like I said, it's like he just kind of just plopped up like bing bang, you know, and I would have just liked something else.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just have to disagree.
And he also got carried to the train, you know, like dig deep, man. You know, you can't have Russell Crowe do everything for you.
He was carried to the train?
Yeah, Russell Crowe is like, I'm gonna put the ball on my back and we're gonna drive it 50 yards for the touchdown. And I feel like Christian Bale's character was dead weight in the red zone. So
okay,
just to make it a football analogy.
Yeah, because I understand those. I don't know. I really enjoyed how the ending played out from the moment that the train was late. And even prior to that, their whole journey just to get there, those 10 minutes of them fighting through. And honestly, I didn't know if Russell Crowe was going to betray him at any moment. And even just those scenes, like when they were running through the unfinished homes, that was really a cool shot to me. And then we came into the station and the train's late. And then when you actually hear the train, like the sound is completely cut except for the train. And it sounds almost like this really heavy beat of just like this foreboding feeling. And I loved that editing in there. And I don't even know when the music actually picked up again. I don't think it did for a while, but it felt just this really dark heaviness was coming. And I loved it because I was excited to see what would happen.
I felt like the beat of the train, they were trying to do something where it's like the beat of his heart also. Like you feel the slow beat of his heart as he's slowly dying. Like that's kind of the sense I got from that train beat. And I loved that part. And you talked about the score, Emily. I was not a big fan of the score of this movie until the end, when I thought that it just rocked my face off for that entire last 35 to 40 minutes. The entire third act of this movie is just super solid, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree.
Most definitely.
This entire third act was really tight and it worked well. And I struggled, like I said in the beginning. I don't know exactly why. Maybe I was just exhausted. The middle chunk, I was amused by Ben Wade's like, I'm going to kill this person and I'm going to throw this person off a cliff and I'm going to get tortured. Like I was very amused by that. But once we actually got to the town and seeing the townspeople just causing chaos and seeing Charlie Prince just fucking losing his goddamn mind because he realizes he can't run this gang on his own and he's just floundering. I loved it. And even William showing up, Dan's son, I loved the dynamic between the father and son by the end too.
The 10 minutes of them trying to get from the hotel to the train station. that is a phenomenal example of an action scene that's able to mix character development into it without feeling like it's just stuffing things in and overstuffed. Like, there's not many movies that can do both gunfighting and character development at the same time. And this one does it so well.
Oh, yeah.
Is that when Russell Crowe's character is like strangling Evans? Or is that earlier?
No, that's during the 10 minutes on the way to the train.
That is during the 10 minutes. And I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says something about how he was shot in the foot by someone when he was retreating. And so then Russell Crowe's character steps back. And I don't know why that hit him so deep. I certainly was kind of like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. It kind of just like blew past me. But Russell Crowe's reaction to it, I could just feel how connected he was to this other person.
Yeah, I think it gets at one of the themes of this movie, which is the idea of hero worship, which I think is what plays a lot into the son and the father dynamic of this movie. Is Ben Wade kind of sees Dan Evans as like this heroic guy who, you know, lost a foot in the Civil War. But we find out that Dan is not this hero. Instead, he just kind of has this kind of more of a sad story about what happened to his foot instead of something that's heroic. And I think that idea of turning the screw on what Ben Wade thought of Dan Evans was enough to cause him to be like, okay, I need to help this guy establish a legacy for himself so that his son will look up to him.
I didn't think of it that way. That's interesting.
Because then we get the major hero worship moment at the end where Ben has just shot Charlie and his entire gang. And now Dan's son is standing there with the gun trained on Ben, ready to do the same thing to him. And at that moment, the son has the choice of being like his dad or being like the person he's been worshiping the entire movie, which is Ben Wade. And that's why that choice of him not to shoot Ben is so thematically on point, is because of all of that groundwork with hero worship that they laid before it.
Great point. Great scene. I loved it.
Besides Dan dying.
Yeah, besides that. But, you know, like anytime you could brandish your gun, point it at a person, and then decide not to kill them in a scene, I think that's going to shift and it's going to create some powerful storytelling about those characters and what's changing inside them, you know, because Russell Crowe could have easily, unless they were saying like he was helpless, but like it seemed like he chose not to, you know, ever engage him, you know, so that was also a choice from Russell Crowe's character, you know, to not fight.
Well, what did you think about the choice from Russell Crowe to shoot his entire gang? Because it almost seems like it's on a whim.
Yeah, you know, to me, I feel like he caught a little Stockholm syndrome, you know, for him to just go bang, 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 you know, that seemed like a rash decision because like all these people love him so much that they're trying to rescue him. And sort of like, what did the second and third guy do? I mean, I get that the one guy killed Christian Bale, but like, you know, what did all those other guys do other than just try to be your friend? You know, they're trying to serve their boss. So I'm sure he'll have a new gang in no time as his horse has been whistled to the front of the train for him to just ride off into the sunset. So, I mean, I guess those guys are really expendable.
True. Although I think Ben Wade's also is impulsive in general. Like we get that right from the beginning. He kills one of his crew right in the beginning because his crew wasn't good enough. He just immediately is like, boom, you're dead. I think his name was Tommy or Thomas or something. And he's dead. When what's his face? Tucker maybe gets stabbed with a fork at the campfire. Dead. I mean, obviously he's trying to escape and everything, but it's very impulsive. And he even comments, well, he took my horse, you know? And then I can't remember the bounty hunter's name. It was like Baylor or something. I don't even know what he said, but fucking Ben throws him off a cliff. Everything he does shows us he is an impulsive, terrible human. So him turning on his gang did not surprise me. Although it did also feel like a moment of growth and realization for him.
Mm-hmm.
In not a great way in real life, but
skillfully executed.
Kill all your friends.
And kill them fast. That was like faster than the next person could draw. So,
well, and I think that's the point too, is like, as soon as he shot Charlie, he knew that like the gang was going to probably turn on him. So he had to be fast and gun them down first. So it was kind of self-preservation after he decided to kill Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, I know you love scores to movies. What did you think of the score to this movie?
Generally, I liked it. There weren't too many moments that stuck out to me in the beginning, but really it was that third act into the credits that I felt the emotion. I felt how the scenes worked together really well with the music and how it tied in. That whole action sequence at the end, I really loved how the music was playing, but then it cut out in moments. It just completely encompassed me in the story. That's not the right word, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And this is one of 5 scores to be nominated for Best Score at the Oscars for this year.
I know good music, apparently.
But I like you said, the score did not excite me in the beginning. I thought it just sounded kind of like a generic Western score. All the familiar beats and tones. Yep, instruments. What is that?
That's a typical Western, like walking into the saloon and riding the horse.
Got it. Yeah.
I also think of the piano when I think of those classical Western instruments, like the beginning of Westworld. You know how they have the auto piano,
the player piano. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was very little piano. It was mostly twangy guitar in this one.
Yeah, another reason I hated it. No, I'm just kidding. I did like the movie.
You both have seen this movie before, yeah?
It's been a while.
Okay.
But yes.
Did you have different feelings about it this second or third rewatch?
I did not remember liking it as much as I did this time. It kind of always was like, 310 to Yuma, like it's fine. It's a fine movie. But after watching it this time, I really like this movie. And I really enjoyed it. And even though the first 2 acts are just good, the last act is so good that it leaves you walking out of the movie feeling like you had seen something great because that last act is so great. You sometimes when you see a movie and the ending kind of is a downer, it can leave you being like, oh, that movie wasn't very good. But this one, it's so powerful and so thematic that I can't help but have this glow over the entire movie because of the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much agree with everything Ben said. The only thing that starts to color me on the movie is when you look up and sort of see the research and you see in the making of the movie, a horse died and you're like, oh, well, that's sad.
Oh,
but the movie's good. Russell Crowe and Christian Bale in all those scenes are dynamite and it looks amazing. So what's not to like? You have beautiful Western skies at magic hour. You have these campfire lit scenes where you have just high lighting ratios on people's faces with tons of shadow and tons of light. So to me, it's just it's a great Western.
It certainly helps to have 2 of the most versatile actors in Hollywood in this movie. You think of Christian Bale and all the various types of roles that he can play, and the same with Russell Crowe. These guys are just masters of their craft, and the dialogue for this movie is written to allow them to shine brightly.
Yeah, and like I said, I had no idea Christian Bale was an English actor until this movie because I looked him up, and I was like, I don't think I've ever heard him with a British accent in my life. Any film I've seen him, he's had an American accent. And so I was just blown away by that. And then I also know that Russell Crowe is from New Zealand, but I've seen him play tons of different accents and a lot American and British. And I'm like, what the hell? This is the most Americanized kind of movie when it comes to a Western. And these 2 people are far from that.
Yeah. The other guy I want to call out in this movie is Ben Foster, who's the guy that plays Charlie, because I think he does a phenomenal job in this movie.
Just manic.
Yes, so good. I love him. I used to watch a Disney Channel show with him back in the 90s. And
What?
yeah, he was a show called Flash Forward. It was a Disney Channel show. And that was one I grew up watching. So
it's fun to picture him doing like the Disney Channel Mickey Mouse ears on the screen with his gun. That's fun.
I did want to mention one other thing about Russell Crowe. His singing about like hanging in the morning, honestly, way better than him playing Javert in Les Mis. Like 5,000 times better singing, in my opinion.
I'm one of the people who does not dislike his Javert in Les Mis.
You're one of very few people.
I know I am, but I think he got a bad rap for that.
It's okay. I have really bad opinions, meaning I have opinions that make Les Mis very negative in the movie version, if that makes sense. My opinions are damn good, but the movie is awful.
What did you guys think of Kevin Durant, the burner of barns?
Wesley's favorite guy from Lost?
I feel like he's just really well cast as like a sadistic guy as well.
Wait, was he the guy that
he got stabbed?
Yes, stabbed by the fork.
McStabbered.
Yeah, he was in Wild Hogs and Smoking Aces as well.
Are you serious?
He had a good 2007. Good for him.
He's not recognizable for me, even though I've apparently seen him twice before this.
Well, if you saw him, you'd think you were in danger because his face is just perfectly like you're always a bad guy. You know, he's always up to no good. I don't think he's ever been a protagonist.
He looks like a muscly Elon Musk.
Elon Musculus.
Yes. Did you guys have a favorite shot in this movie? Matt, I know you talked about some of the shots of like the Arizona landscape.
Yeah, I mean, part of me wants to say like some stagecoach stuff or like, you know, the coordination and production that goes into, you know, getting like a bunch of horses and people out there. So, yeah, I think it's just some of those like special shots that you need to do at sunset. And then Emily also mentioned them panning right, you know, so they're running through this building that's being constructed, and I thought that was cool to see in the middle of that action sequence. It really ratcheted up the tension because of how much noise and things were going on screen in the foreground and in the background.
You mentioned that stagecoach scene, and I thought of the scene in the very beginning where we're introduced to the Wade gang for the first time. I did not like that action sequence because I thought it relied way too heavily on kind of the shaky cam approach to action when I wanted more of a removed from the situation view of it, because I feel like I would have been better able to understand what was going on and the actual layout of the heist. So I actually really did not like that action sequence with the stagecoach at the beginning.
Yeah, I honestly don't really remember it very much. And maybe it's partially because I was exhausted. Maybe it was partially because it just wasn't that great. But I found it really hard to track what was happening in the beginning versus later in the movie. Everything felt so crystal clear. Like everything had a purpose. Everything had its moment. And I already talked about how much I love the ending, especially how they shot it and like the reactions to Russell Crowe's face and Christian Bale's face and the little kid, William, he's 14, his face. But one of the pieces that I really loved was the conversation between Alice and Dan right before he leaves, and they're kind of whispering back and forth. And there was something about how Christian Bale's face completely fills up the screen, and he's talking about how he's been standing on one leg for 3 years and waiting for God to do him a favor or something. And he's like, and he's just ain't listening or whatever. Just the way that he delivers that, whispering to his wife, who's really concerned for his safety and concerned for their family. And everything has a hushed feel to it. It was dramatic and beautifully directed and beautifully acted. It's definitely one of my favorite scenes in this movie.
Yeah. Put that shit in the trailer. Am I right? Like, it was just like one of those things you could whisper in between action. I didn't mind the way that heist was filmed. You know, you had the guy out on the range, the sniper, and then I thought it was sort of chaotic, but, you know, from start to finish, I got it. You know, it was basically like Russell Crowe, you know, picture he's in Ocean's 11 and he's running his Lion King play, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets the cart disabled and then he runs the cattle down the way. So, you know, I think I got it all, but I would have loved to see that filmed from an Ocean 11, you know, get the, you know, bass in there and get his master plan for the heist.
Right. I understand what you mean. I just felt that the execution of how it was shot in the beginning versus the ending, like the beginning, there's supposed to be this really well-run gang that has done this 21, 22 times. And then at the end, Charlie Prince gets all the townspeople together. And so there is more chaos, but it still has this very distinct purpose. And you kind of know what's happening every step of the way. And so the beginning of the movie, you don't really have this like purpose. It seems like we're having a hard time going back and forth between perspectives, but still not getting a clear picture.
Yeah. The choreography of the end scene is just so well thought out. And in comparison to the Stagecoach, where it just feels like they threw a camera on a horse and we're like, okay, go. Like it felt a little jarring just in comparison.
I shouldn't laugh at that because I'm pretty sure the beginning of the movie is where the horse like ran into a camera and then they had to euthanize it. That's like the story that happened. So I shouldn't laugh at that, but that's definitely what I thought of when you said they put a camera on a horse.
I wish the Stagecoach scene at the beginning would have been done in firelight, because one thing that this director did very well is he did great when he was lighting by natural light. Like when you think of like the dinner scene, anything by the campfire, all of those shots looked so pretty with the way that the glow was against their face from the natural light.
Would it be, I mean, I'm trying to think of how would you position that Stagecoach with fire? Like they're still driving it through the night or something? That could be neat.
Yeah. I mean, like put torch headlights on the horses.
Okay.
Because when, like, I think of the barn burning scene, like that scene is just so pretty to look at.
Is this actual natural lighting though, or is it just motivated by the fire? Because I thought you still had lights in there, right?
You know, I don't know. I guess I didn't notice that.
Well, I think that's. I mean, obviously the DP did their job really well then, you know, and it did look good. I'd imagine they did use lights though, you know, and they just warmed them up significantly and then put like movers or something in front of them.
Well, either way, it's the same difference to me, the audience member. Like, if there's no like sunlight or electric light that's clearly coming from a source in the room, it all looks like natural light to me.
Yeah. I mean, it had that very soft look and the flicker and like the contrast. It was really good. I was just curious how they went achieving it and whether or not they were using the technology at the time, which I wonder if it was there yet, because I know that it is there now. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's all I was saying.
Best moment of the movie, Alan Tudyk hitting a guy with a shovel. It was the fucking best part of the movie. I loved it. It was amazing. The veterinarian grabs the shovel and smashes the face of some guy pointing a gun at them.
I don't know. As soon as Alan Tudyk showed up, I was like, why is fucking Alan Tudyk here? Like, I couldn't, I don't know. Something about his character, it was just like, what are you doing here in this movie?
True. Still a great moment.
My favorite part was the yeeting of Grayson off the cliff, right? I thought that scene was very out of nowhere. I thought he was gonna I don't know what I was thinking, but then he's just like, get out of here. And then I don't know. It reminded me of that scene of Anchorman where his dog gets punted off the bridge.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So it's just like I just pictured a dummy body being thrown off a cliff, and I was just like, oh damn.
Final thoughts on 3:10 to Yuma, Emily?
I liked the movie. I don't know if I'd watch it again. Probably not for a while. I'm very interested in seeing the original. And the only reason I would watch it again is just for the scenes between Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. Like, I would just skip to those scenes so I could see them working together in harmony. It was just everything together with them was perfect.
Mm-hmm. Matt?
Great movie. Leave it at that. I mean, I don't want to say any of the parts that I wish were different or whatever. It was just overall great movie. Definitely recommend it. I want to know different trains, for the 420 to Pound Town or the
oh my God.
the 6-9 to I want to know about the other trains that go through this quaint little town. Great movie though.
Ben?
I highly recommend this movie for anyone who hasn't seen it. Any fans of Westerns, any fans of just good acting. I think this is one that kind of stands apart from other Westerns of the 2010s as a throwback to a lost genre, because Westerns kind of disappeared for a long while, and this is a nice return to form for them. So highly recommended. Probably will end up in my top 10 of 2007 when all is said and done, because I did really enjoy it. Yeah.
Wow.
A little advanced warning.
Yeah. I think we'll be talking about our top movies of 2007 coming up shortly. But Matt, I've got a game for us today that I'd like you to play.
Okay! Game on! Game on! Game on!
I would love to play.
Yeah. So the name of this game is Draw Me Like One of Your French Girls.
Oh, sure.
So I'm going to give you a movie character who is an artist within their movie. And you need to tell me if I think they're talented enough artists for me to sit and pose while they created an art piece of me.
And this is because Russell Crowe draws Christian Bale in the movie.
He does, yes. Yeah. Russell Crowe draws.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. In the Bible, even.
On a Bible, yeah.
On a Bible. So do I think this artist is talented enough for me to pose for them? That's the question.
And are you like getting the print, or is it going somewhere? I need a little context.
Well, I mean, it's going into a museum. Like, it's like, is it even worth my time to sit for them, or do I just think the art that they make is trash and, it's not worth my time?
Okay.
This is like a Ben art museum, a bunch of Bens.
Got it.
Yes. Okay, so 60 seconds on the clock. I'm going to give you usually the actor's name and the movie they're in, and you need to tell me if I would pose for them or not.
Okay.
And away we go. Russell Crowe in 3:10 to Yuma.
I don't think you would know.
I would, yes. Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously, so sexy. Jonah Hill in Superbad.
Yes, that'd be good.
Absolutely. Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky.
No,
that drawing was trash. Johnny Depp and Edward Scissorhands.
I'm sure you'd love to see him try. Yes.
Yeah, turn me into a bush. Absolutely. The character of Todd in Wedding Crashers.
I'm gonna no.
Do you remember that picture of Vince Vaughn that hangs above the fireplace? Absolutely. I want a picture of me like that.
Okay.
Rachel Lee Cook and She's All That.
Yes.
No, she's a high school student. That's not, no.
Wow.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt in 500 Days of Summer.
No.
That's right, I'm not a building. Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want him to carve me out of marble, absolutely. How many did he get?
6.
6 out of 9. Matt is taking the 69 train to Pound Town this evening. Congratulations, Matt. You won.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, I don't remember a lot of those artists, so I just went on a gut feeling about the character because I some of them I was like, wait, what did Rachel A. Cook do as an artist? Like, do you mean like as like a musician, or did she actually make art?
No, she wasn't a musician and she's all that. She was a painter.
Oh, she was a painter and she's all that. Okay, now I remember that movie. I was thinking Josie and the Pussycats. I lucked
Josie and the
out.
Pussycats. Yeah, that was lucky.
I lucked out. I just heard Rachel A. Cook and I thought of her best movie. And that's a strong statement, I feel.
I have a mini twist for you all.
Oh, let's do it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love, Ben, that you brought up Tom Cruise. This first one's about Tom Cruise. Did you know Tom Cruise was supposed to be the villain in this movie?
Wait, there's a villain?
What? Yeah,
As in Ben Wade. I know, Ben Wade.
I thought he was an honorable man.
Sure. Anyway, honestly, the fact that Tom Cruise gets so much shit for his height, which he is short compared to most movie actors, I just think it would be such a weird dynamic having such a short villain. So I want you to tell me of a better short villain than Tom Cruise.
Okay. I've got one in my head.
I've got one too. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, obviously, I'm going to go with Odd Job from Goldfinger. He was a shorter man, an LP, he took off his hat and he'd throw it at people's necks and would chop their head off. He was a James Bond villain. It's fucking baller, dude. This guy was just as good as Jaws, if not better, and the best character on the 64 version GoldenEye, because you couldn't hit him.
That's true. Yeah,
he was too short.
So I want my Ben Wade in 3:10 to Yuma to be Danny DeVito.
Oh my God.
I think that short villain, Danny DeVito, could pull it off, man. Danny DeVito in everything. I love him.
You just want literally Danny DeVito in actually everything.
I do, yeah.
I loved his penguin. If we're going to talk about his villain, his true villain, like his penguin is so good.
There are some good short villains in the world. Tom Cruise, I don't think could do it.
No, but Danny DeVito in 3'10" to Yuma.
3'10" to Yuma.
Okay, ready for the next one? So apparently Ben Wade got out of Yuma prison twice already. I want to know how he got out the first 2 times, but give me wrong answers only.
He dug his way out of his cell with a fork.
The same fork he stabbed Tucker with.
Yeah, not a spoon, a fork. And he used his knife. He used his fork and knife to tunnel his way out.
I think his horse seduced his way in past the guards and just walked out with Ben Wade. Like, I think it was mostly the horse that did the work.
So the horse seduced the guards?
Yeah. Put on lipstick.
Give me a line from the horse.
Nay.
That's so stupid. I love it. That's why he whistles for the horse at the end. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Matt, Emily, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah. Matt, you got anything you want to plug before you go?
I have a Survivor audition tape on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And look for me at work, doing plenty of good, hard work there. So you'll see me around.
Okay, awesome. And we will see you around as we wrap up 2007 this year. You'll be back for our final couple episodes in December. So be continuing to listen to us and listen in for Matt to come back at that time. Next week, we are watching a doozy. It's Hot Rod.
Oh, I haven't seen this one either.
It's great.
You haven't seen Hot Rod?
No, I've never seen it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I am not fucking kidding you. I've never seen it.
Off the top of your head, Ben, what's your favorite scene from Hot Rod?
I watched it last night. It's the mob scene.
Okay, yeah. Mine has to be Flash dancing in the forest. So
okay. Well, and the reason we're doing Hot Rod next week is because we are welcoming back someone very special to us. Wesley is going to be joining us next week to talk about Hot Rod, which is one of his favorite movies. So that is how we enticed him back, is with the promise of Hot Rod.
Should be a fun one.
So be sure to listen for that one next week. Thank you to everyone who's listened to us thus far. Please subscribe, rate, share us with a friend or two. You can follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com. And thank you, and we'll be back next week for Hot Rod. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, so many hot rods.